Hey everybody, welcome back to the shop. This is Todd with Industrial Comfort. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make this steady rest for your lathe. Now this is a critically important piece of equipment if you're going to be doing fine finial work, table legs, or intricate spindle turning. Now it's a very easy project. All you need is some plywood, some T-track here, some inline skate wheels, and some T-track knobs. Let me show you how to make it. This is a pretty straightforward project, and I'm going to put links in the description telling you where to get all you'll need for this. But essentially, we're going to need a T-track. I've got a 48-inch track here that I'll end up cutting down. We're going to need some T-handles to clamp everything down and keep it tight. We'll need a project board, which essentially is a half sheet of plywood or smaller that you can get at the hardware store. I went ahead and I got a 4x2 that I've cut in half, not equally as you can see. I've drawn a center line down this board, which is going to help us find the center point of what will eventually be our ring for the steady rest. The other thing that we're going to need is a jig for cutting a circle with our router. You can also use a jigsaw, and I'll put a link in the description showing you how I made that jig. And then we also need some skateboard wheels, or rather inline skate wheels that haven't yet arrived. And like I said, I'll put the link in the description for where to get those. So let's head over to the lathe and we'll figure out where the center of our ring should be. Okay, over at the lathe, as I mentioned, I want to find the center point that essentially will be the ring of our steady rest. Now, dead center is going to be exactly where this center is on the tailstock. So because the ring that we're going to be creating is going to be sitting on another piece of plywood, I've used a piece of scrap here, and this is going to give us the right level of elevation. Now, I used, if you noticed here, I've got a chuck in place because it's going to give me a nice flat surface to rest this board against. So I'm going to use a speed square to make sure that we are perpendicular, and I'm going to also make sure that we're mounted right up against the chuck. And with that done, I'm going to move this tailstock forward. Okay, I'm going to line up the center, and I am going to create once I found center, I'm going to create a dimple, and that's going to be the center point of our radius. Oop. Okay, so this is going to be, again, the center point that the steady rest is going to be built around, which is the axis of the headstock here. Okay, back from the lathe, I've gone ahead, I hope you can see this from the camera angle, but I've drawn a circle that will give us an inch cutoff at the bottom that roughly corresponds to the 8-inch width of the bed of the lathe, as we're going to have another piece of plywood underneath that straddles the bed, and then we'll put some supports in place to stabilize everything. Now, in order for us to find an equal 60-degree angle from the center point here, which will serve as the first support that we'll have, and then we'll have two supports on either side. What I've done is I found the radius of the circle. What I'm now going to do is come down and measure from the bottom, and essentially we'll just bring this out like this and swing it around here, and therefore now we have points here, here, and here that are all equidistant from one another at 60 degrees. That way all these intersections will be perfectly symmetrical to stabilize our workpiece. So I'm going to use some double-sided tape to tape these boards together, and then we'll get the circle cutting jig and we'll cut out our ring. Okay, so I'm going to take the other screw that I mentioned, and I always start with the outer diameter if we're cutting a ring, because I always want to ensure that we have the most stability, which is going to... Now, as I mentioned, you always want to make sure that you secure your workpiece with a piece underneath. You always want to make sure that your workpiece is secured to whatever you're going to be. You always want to make sure that you have a buffer underneath your workpiece for two reasons. One, so that you don't destroy the table or workbench that you're making the cuts on. And number two, to prevent tear out. So what I've done is use some double-sided tape to stick this piece of plywood onto another piece of plywood that's then taped to the top of this piece of plywood that surveys my workbench here. So I'm going to take a bolt, this is the 1/4 inch bolt, and I'm going to start with the outer diameter of the ring. I always want to make sure that I cut the outside first to ensure that we have maximum stability when we're cutting the interior ring. So I'm just going to correspond this to the what's ultimately going to be the center point of our ring. Okay. With that now in place, I'm going to put my safety equipment on. It's also important that you wrap the cord over your shoulder because this thing is going to be going around and you don't want the cord to get twisted. I'm also going to move stuff off the workbench here, make sure we have good clearance. I don't have dust collection hooked up to this, so unfortunately, stuff's going to be going everywhere. I'm also going to go down in 1/8 inch increments. You never want to try to plunge it all at once, or else you're going to get a lot of bucking. The chips won't evacuate properly. It'll be a mess. With these rings doubled up, I am going to apply a layer of glue and then I'm going to tack these together. Just don't forget to ensure that you leave the areas that we marked from an earlier step on the outside so that we have our reference points. At each one of these areas, or I should say at each 60-degree arc, we had marked this out prior. I drilled a hole at the center point of each of these, as this is where we're going to clamp the T-track that's going to come through and hold the skateboard wheels or the inline skate wheels. Now I've also drawn a corresponding line to the either left or right of each one of these holes. This track itself is 3/4 of an inch, so 3/8 is half that, and I'm going to want this centered. So I've cut these little pieces out at the bandsaw, which I'm just going to line up on the line that I've drawn, and we're going to glue and tack these into place. Now, if you don't have a bandsaw, you don't have to necessarily shape these before you put them on. You can always do it with sandpaper afterward, but I've got a bandsaw, so... The chassis for this rest has now had time to dry. So I've pre-cut a lot of the materials we're going to use for the base that this chassis is going to sit on. So for my particular lathe, which is the Powermatic 3250C, I want a base that's going to cover the bed. So in my case, I'm using a 10 by 6 inch piece of 3/4 inch plywood. Now I say cover the bed, but also ensure that we're getting full coverage on the flat part of this chassis. I then cut 2 3/4 inch filler strips. These are, I think, 2 1/4 inches by the width, which is 10 inches, and that's to sandwich this chassis in place once we glue it and nail it up. Now, finally, I have two more pieces here. One is going to serve as the guide that's going to sit perpendicular here, and this is going to allow us to slide the guide back and forth on top of the bed. Now, it's important that you go with a 1/2 inch piece of wood for this part. Anything deeper, like if I were to go with a 3/4 inch piece of wood, it's going to extend beyond the depth of the bed, and I'm never going to be able to clamp the rest in place. And this is at 2.5 inches wide exactly, and again, it's by 6 inches to match the depth of the base. And then the last piece that I've pre-cut here is the piece that's going to clamp underneath that I'm going to ultimately attach these T-track knobs to tighten everything from below, well, from the top, but it's going to clamp from below. This is also 6 inches in depth by 4 inches. I think it's 4 inches wide. Now, yeah, 4 inches. Now, it's worth noting that this is only 4 inches because that's the maximum amount of space I had underneath the bed of my lathe that wouldn't hit any of the additional supports underneath. So, now that everything is pre-cut, and I'll probably end up cutting some extra supports on either side once we get everything assembled, but let's start the glue up and nail everything in place. Now, there's one more thing I am going to mention. I'm going to put a couple of nails underneath to make sure that we've got solid contact. I'm just going to kind of over-engineer this thing. Those are the only nails I want to put from underneath. And those nails are going to get covered with this slide, with this piece of wood. The reason I'm not going to put any nails anywhere else on this base is that every so often, it doesn't happen often, but you can get a nail head that doesn't go fully into the wood. And I want to eliminate any prospect of having a nail head that's not below flush that would scratch up the bed of the lathe. The next step, as I mentioned earlier, is to place this slide, if you will, on the bottom here. And you're not going to be able to see it. I lightly sanded the bottom of this base, and I can see the lines. You're probably not going to be able to, but I'm going to use some glue here, and then I'll tack it in place. Just to be safe and over-engineer this thing, I'm going to add a little more structural rigidity here to the ring by gluing in these 2-inch pieces to the corners here. With the glue now set, I'm going to bring over to the drill press and drill 2 holes, one here and one here, that are going to be for these clamp down knobs that are going to fit to the bottom for this underside of the clamp. Now, I've measured in 1 inch and 1/8, which is halfway between the 2 1/4 inches here. I put a little dimple here and here. So what I'll do now is I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to take 2 pieces of wood tape, and I am going to just lightly tape the bottom portion of this clamp. And you'll notice that I've scribed a line here so that I can line it up so that it's in the center, so that we'll get perfectly aligned holes. Now with the bottom of this, of the base, or the bottom of the clamp base, like I mentioned, I'm going to countersink with a 3/8 inch bit so that it will hold the bottom, or rather the top of this bolt. And once we drill the hole, we're going to hammer this in place. That way, when we spin the knob to tighten the clamp, everything will stay in place. A quick test fit, and everything, wow, seems great. So now it's time to put the cross members in place. For the next step, we need to attach the inline skate wheels to this T-track. Now, I'm going to take this T-track and cut it into thirds. And if you remember, the external diameter of the ring that we cut was 10.5 inches. So once we accommodate the half the diameter of this 76 millimeter inline skate wheel, we can safely get away with a 10-inch long piece of track here. Now, I've measured 3/4 of an inch in, which is where I'm going to drill the hole for this inline skate wheel. Again, this is a 76 millimeter, and I'll put a link in the description explaining what this is and where you can get it. I'm going to affix it with some 5/16 inch bolts. Now these are 2 inches long, probably a little bit longer than what I need. I could probably get away with 1 3/4 inches, but this is what I had available. So we'll drill the holes, we'll cut 3 10-inch sections, we'll mount up the hardware, and then we'll assemble it on the steady rest. What I found that's really great about this design is that it tucks neatly away behind the chuck. You can then easily pull it forward, very easy to tighten down, adjust the wheels, and we're good to go. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks for watching.